She wakes before the sun each morning because the silence of dawn is the only place where her heart can breathe. She moves slowly through the dim hallway, her hands brushing against the walls that still remember the warmth of the boy who ran through them years ago. The house feels heavier now, softer in places, worn in others. Like it has aged with her step by quiet step. She stands in the kitchen, where the clock no longer ticks because she stopped it the day he left and never had the strength to begin its rhythm again. She boils water for tea, watching the steam rise in gentle ribbons as though carrying her prayers into a sky that never answers. She whispers his name, not loudly, but enough that it breaks the stillness. Her voice trembles in the air, the way candlelight trembles when a door opens. She feels him everywhere, in the chairs he once dragged across the floor, in the window he used to lean against, in the old wooden table that still holds faint scratches from the blade he practiced with at 13. She runs her fingers over those scratches as if they were braille written by grief, telling her that love leaves marks, and so does waiting. Outside, the world wakes, but she does not see it like she once did. She sees only the road, the long straight road that disappears into the horizon, where her son once gave her a final embrace before boarding the truck that took him to a war far away. She remembers his scent, his heartbeat, the way his fingers tightened around her shoulders as though he was afraid to let go. She remembers telling him to be brave, though bravery tasted like fear on her tongue. As he walked away, she felt something inside her tear, not violently, but slowly, like fabric stretched too far. The days after he left felt like a dream made of smoke. She watched other mothers receive letters folded neatly by officials who used official words meant to soothe, but carried pain sharper than glass. She watched fathers hold their families as if trying to shield them from a truth that could not be stopped. She watched children grow quiet when the news came on because even they understood what uniforms and flags meant in times like this. But she kept hope alive, like a stubborn flame in a storm, telling herself that her boy would return because he promised, because he said he would, because she believed that promises between a mother and a child are sacred. Ropes that time and distance cannot cut. Every evening she sits on the porch, waiting for the sound of boots on gravel. She imagines his silhouette appearing through the dusk, first a blur, then a shape, then a reality. She imagines him calling out to her, voice cracking with relief and exhaustion. She imagines running down the steps, arms reaching heart, racing, tears falling like rain from a sky that can no longer hold its sorrow. She imagines touching his face, feeling the warmth of life beneath her fingertips, hearing him say, "Ma, I am home, and everything is all right now." She imagines these things so vividly that sometimes she believes they have already happened, but night always comes and the road remains empty. People in the town tell her to rest, to move on, to accept what may already be true, but she cannot accept absence as an ending. She has lived long enough to know that life does not always shout when it is ending. Sometimes it slips quietly between the seconds, leaving behind a silence that feels endless. She keeps waiting because love makes waiting a kind of devotion, a holy act, a quiet rebellion against despair. She often visits his room, which she has kept exactly as it was. The bed still made with the blanket, he folded the books on the desk, the boots by the door. She sits on the edge of the bed and closes her eyes, breathing in memories that feel both distant and alive. She can still hear him laughing sometimes, soft echoes coming from the corners of the room, as though the walls themselves remember him better than she does. She holds his jacket to her chest, inhaling the faint scent that remains. It is almost gone, and that terrifies her, because when the scent disappears, she fears the memory of his presence will begin to fade. 2. She looks out the window and imagines him as he once was, a little boy running barefoot in the grass, chasing fireflies with a jar in his hands. A teenager practicing drills in the yard, determination burning in his eyes. A young man standing strong in his uniform, telling her he would return. And she believed him because mothers believe even when the world does not. Sometimes she dreams of him, and in those dreams, he is whole, untouched by war, untouched by fear, untouched by silence. He walks toward her smiling the way he did when he graduated. Proud and hopeful, she tries to reach for him, but her hands pass through light, and she awakens with tears on her pillow and an ache that settles back into her bones. The dreams are beautiful but cruel because they remind her of what might never come again. She listens every night for the knock on the door, the knock that could change everything. The knock that would mean news, good or bad, but at least news, at least something. Instead, her nights are filled with the hum of crickets, the whisper of wind through the trees, the soft creaking of the house settling around her grief. She has memorized these sounds, but none of them are footsteps. None of them are the voice she longs to hear. The world continues around her like a river flowing. Past the stone she watches neighbors laugh, children grow seasons, change leaves, fall snow melt, and flowers bloom again. But her heart remains suspended in the moment. He left an unfinished chapter, waiting for its final line. She wonders if he is alive. Somewhere beneath the same sky, looking at the same moon, thinking of her. She wonders if he is lost or hurt, or fighting to return. She wonders so often that wondering becomes a prayer spoken without words. The town sometimes holds ceremonies for fallen soldiers. Names are red, candles are lit, flags are folded into careful triangles. People weep, people salute, but she does not go. She cannot sit among the finalities of those moments. She cannot hear names spoken as endings while her heart insists hers is a name still waiting to be called. She believes that as long as she waits, as long as she hopes, as long as she breathes, there is a path that leads him home. Time changes her. She grows slower, more fragile, like paper turning thin from years of being folded and unfolded, but her spirit refuses to break. She tends the garden he once helped her plant, pulling weeds, watering soil, whispering to the flowers as though telling them stories of him so they might bloom in his honor. She bakes his favorite bread, even though she eats barely a slice, because baking is a memory made warm. She repairs his old coat, though no one will wear it because the rhythm of stitching keeps her hands from trembling. Some nights, she lights a candle for him and places it by the window, hoping its glow might guide him home like a lighthouse guiding a ship through darkness. She watches the flame flicker and imagines it carrying her love across distance and smoke and uncertainty. She imagines him seeing it, remembering the warmth of home, remembering her. She believes in the power of small lights in vast darkness, because sometimes small lights are the only things that keep us from losing ourselves. Years pass. Quietly the road remains unchanged, but she changes with every heartbeat, every sunset, every unanswered prayer. She grows older, softer, but her hope remains fierce, a quiet warrior inside her chest. The town begins to speak less of the war, less of the missing, because life demands moving forward, but she carries the weight of memory, the way a soldier carries a pack, close to the body, close to the heart. One evening, as the sun sinks low, she sits on the porch, wrapped in a shawl, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The sky glows in shades of gold and amber, reminding her of evenings long ago, when her son would race home across the yard, laughter trailing behind him like wind. She closes her eyes and feels the warmth of that memory settle on her skin. A tear slips down her cheek, not from pain, but from the sweetness of remembrance. She whispers a promise to the fading light that she will keep waiting, no matter how long, no matter how quiet. She imagines the moment again, the knock on the door, a simple sound, a miracle. She imagines standing, rising, walking with trembling steps to the door. She imagines opening it to find him there, tired, bruised, but alive. She imagines falling into his arms, both crying, both laughing, both holding on, as though to say, "We made it, we found our way back to each other." She imagines this so deeply, it becomes a heartbeat within her, a steady rhythm that keeps her moving through each day. The night grows darker. The stars appear one by one, like watchful eyes in the sky. She sits quietly, wrapped in memory and hope, her breath slow, her hands still, her heart open. She knows people may call her foolish for waiting this long, but love is not measured in logic. It is measured in devotion, in endurance, in the way a mother's heart can stretch across miles and years without tearing. She watches the road, illuminated by moonlight, waiting for the silhouette of a returning soldier, for the echo of footsteps, for the promise kept. She waits through seasons, through storms, through birthdays that come and go without his laughter. She waits because waiting is the only way. She knows how to keep him alive in a world that has tried to forget him. She dreams with her eyes open, imagining him walking toward her each step, bringing him closer To home, she imagines him smiling, that soft smile reserved only for her. She imagines touching his face, feeling warmth instead of memory. She imagines the world becoming whole again in a single moment of return, but the road remains silent. The night remains still, her heart remains patient. She closes her eyes and breathes deeply, feeling the weight of love and longing settle gently within her. She whispers his name into the quiet darkness, letting it drift through the air, hoping it reaches wherever he might be. She whispers that she is waiting, that she will always be waiting, that her heart is a door forever open, and though the soldier's knock has not come, she holds hope like a fragile ember, glowing softly in the vast darkness. She holds it because love asks her to, because memory asks her to, because her son once looked at her with eyes full of belief and promised he would return. She holds it because some promises are not broken even by silence, and so she waits, the mother who stands guard over hope, the mother who keeps vigil by the road, the mother who believes that one day when the wind shifts, when the stars align, when destiny allows, she will hear the sound of footsteps approaching home. She will rise from her chair, heart trembling, breath shaking, soul unfolding. She will walk to the door, guided by love, strengthened by time, and she will open it to whatever truth waits on the other side. Till then, she remains steadfast, a guardian of hope, a keeper of memories, a mother waiting for a soldier's knock that never comes but still might one day, if love is strong enough to carry him home.